Hello again, Hess here with one of his shorties. I want to try to keep this to 10 minutes or less, which is somewhat hard to do. I have a tendency to go on too much. So, you notice the opening thing has me doing something along these lines. Kind of reminds you of Hitler. Well, I've been watching the television here to get inspiration on what's going on. And I don't mean inspiration in the fact that I need inspiration to tell me what the Bible's saying. It's what you all might be worried about. And what's going on behind the scenes. This one here is going to be on authority. Okay? The German people gave him authority. In the end, he went to the point where he actually tried to destroy the Jewish people, which is absolutely satanic. Satan hates the Jews. Salvation is of the Jews. It comes through the Jews. Jesus is a Jew. Okay? And after the Jews, it goes to the Gentiles, which is us. However, all the promises to the Jews, none of them have ever been undone. Okay? When he comes back, he's going to Zion. Okay? He's going to reinstitute the temple. And guess what? Jews are going to be working there. Satan thinks if he does away with the Jews, then guess what? He can win, or at least delay the inevitable. I don't know. Actually, I do know. If he can make one jot or tittle of what's the word null and void, he wins. So he's trying every different direction. And I mean every different direction. But I want to use authority there to... I want to use Hitler kind of a lot. Because people know about him. Okay? And if you don't, you should. At least to some degree. There's a lot of younger people that even know about Hitler a lot. So that's what we're going to try to do. Now... what we're getting at right now on authority is I want to use what's currently happening, which is called Ebola. We're starting to all of a sudden, just seen on TV here today sometime, there's a lady who is a nurse in Texas who has had tested positive for Ebola. Well, I'm going to show you how authority works, and I'm going to try to do it really fast here. In a big down to the little. The president is not the president in the spiritual world. The president is the king. Okay? Doesn't matter that we rotate our king more than most people. Okay? King's a king. In other words, it's the highest authority in the land. Okay? Think about, if you read the Old Testament, King David. Okay? Highest authority in the land. He sinned. And the people suffered for it. Okay? Because of the authority thing. One of the reasons we're in such a bad shape. But let's go back to what's going on with Ebola. I'm going to go over a lot of different subjects. That's why I'm going to do shorties. And do them one at a time. So you're going to kind of hear the same theme over and over and over again. I'm hoping you all catch on to how this works. Now, he did not have to do this, but he decided to do this. He made a presidential decision that the two people originally that were in Africa who had contracted it, Americans, were going to be brought into the United States of America and treated. It sounds like a noble thing. We'll make sure we take every precaution, which I'm sure they did. And I doubt very seriously that the particular virus, as you want to call it, if you want to call it that, got out. You may or may not like this, but there is no such thing as a disease. Adam and Eve were created perfectly. They had no disease. Any type of disease is a manifestation of something demonic. Yep. If you don't like that, well, you might as well click off now because you're not going to learn anything. I'm trying to teach you something. Alcoholism is a disease, isn't it? You're going to tell me that's not demonic? That somebody having to have a drink? My father was an alcoholic, so I can really talk on this. And I actually helped run an RSAT unit for many years, okay, which is a drug alcohol rehab center, okay. So guess what? I know something about this, and I'm speaking from authority, from knowledge. Drugs and alcohol, being addicted to, I mean, meth heads? Come on, really? Do you really think deep down when they was growing up and they're 6 years old, little girl 6 years old, cute as a button, wearing a pink dress, wanted to grow up to be a hooker, lose all of her teeth and end up looking like she's 90 years old when she's 25? That was her goal in life? Think about that for a split second. She gave authority to something in her life that consumed her. Remember this. All you Christians who go, I have been saved, I cannot be hurt by Satan. The wages of sin is death. Okay? The Son of God saved you from death, as in permanent eternal damnation. He bought you back from the pit or the lake of fire. I'd rather use that. That's it. You can still be saved and be an alcoholic. I know a lot of people's not going to like this, but you can be saved and be an alcoholic. Because if you read John 3:16 very carefully, realize this. Those who believe that Christ was the Son of God. That's it. You have to believe that He paid for you. You have to believe. That's it. I hope this is making a little bit of sense. Okay? It was the most awesome. I don't even want to get into that because it's beyond me to even describe. Okay? What happened that day on that cross and how awesome that was. Never belittle that. Okay? But He did that for you and He bought you back from death. Okay? But you can still do the really stupid things that will cause you to die. A physical death, not the overall in death. Okay, remember there's two deaths. Okay? And that's what we're talking about here. When you end up with a disease, that disease is a spiritual authority you have allowed in your life. I'll give you a perfect example. Smoking. I used to smoke for many, many years. Okay, and I had many, many, many conversations. Well, it's not in the Bible. It's just a sin unto my body, blah, blah, blah. I tried to rationalize it and all that. I had many arguments with him. Finally, he pinned me down one day. Said, okay, no. You're supposed to be preaching and teaching for me. I can't have you smoking because that's the wrong persona, shall we say, putting out. And the wages of sin is death. And you're not treating your temple correctly. So guess what? He pinned me down and said, you have the right though. Salvation is not part of this. To make the wrong decision. Which one are you going to choose? I since quit, but that's not the point. In fact, I quit that night. I asked him to take it. By the way, just to help you out, I asked him to remove it. Remove it from my life, from my spirit, from everything. You know what? I quit once before for about 4 years. 3-4 years. And I had cravings all the time. Somebody would be beside me smoking or whatever. Something blow up in my face, you know what I mean. Some catastrophe, something happened and it didn't go right or whatever. Had a flat tire or whatever. Man, I could sure use a cigarette right about now. That's actually giving authority to that thing, which I revoke. What I'm getting at though is I went through a lot of ups and downs. I quit cold turkey that time. This time though, bam, he took it out of me. He took the whole thing. Okay? It was months before I even really realized that it was gone in a way that it was just awesome. It's the best thing I can say. So we're talking about authority. And I was just trying to help you out. Ebola is a demonic force that manifests itself as that particular type of disease. You might be able to look at it, see it physically, etc. But that's what its base spiritual point is that. The president, the highest authority in the land, said we're going to bring them in. Doesn't matter what the reason was, and it was humanitarian. Okay, sounded good on TV. But now we have Ebola in Texas. Why? Because in the spiritual world, let's just say my cell phone here represents the spirits. Now, they went, aha, I can now go and be in America. Because the highest authority said I could. He invited me in. Okay, it would have been actually easier for us to ship everything out for those people. Faster for them. They'd have got to them before we got them here. If we just said, okay, just send it over. It would have been no paperwork to go with it. Instead of having to get all the clearances and all that stuff. And in so doing, the highest authority, the president, said, hey, Ebola, you can now manifest in the United States. And we're going to deal with it from here on out. Unless somehow or other the president realizes this. And he's not going to, I don't think. I pray that he does. But he has done everything in the spirit world to assist the demonic. If you don't like that, it's not my problem. And I'm not Republican or Democrat. Democrats did, or Republicans did it too. Or are actually doing it. And they don't realize it. Okay? Because Satan has managed to do some stuff. And we'll go through the Bible and some scriptures, and I'll read you a scripture and we'll go through that later on. I just wanted to get you to understand this little shorty here about spiritual authority. That's what's really going on. I know they're going to be saying this happened, that happened, blah, blah, blah. But in the spirit world, the highest authority in our nation told the demonic spirit of Ebola, you now may enter and manifest. Simple as that. Okay? That also works in our lives. You have to think about authority levels. I'm going to do a real fast thing. If you wanted to come against, say, abortion in the city of Cleveland, Ohio, you can't do it. Your mayor could do it. The mayor of Cleveland, Ohio could do it, or somebody above him. Say the governor of Ohio could, or somebody in the federal government such as the president could, or senators, things like that, which are above a governor. It all goes by the authority you see in this world is also the same structure design in the heavenlies. There's nothing new under the sun. In other words, what he's talking about is all this is manifest as a reflection of heaven. So, don't think you can just go against something. Like, if you want to come against abortion as an individual, then you have to go find an individual, because you can do that. Unless you happen to be a governor or the president of the United States, in which case you can do it otherwise. And we'll do a whole thing on abortion later. I'm just using that because it's a big topic everybody's heard of and what it means. So there. That's why Ebola is now in the country and why we're not going to get rid of it. So you all have a nice day. Shalom.